Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. So we were on the 11th verse, I think. Read the verse and go forward. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. So those who worship me in whatever way, I bless them in the same way. O Arjuna, people follow my path in all ways. So as you sow, so shall you reap. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. And even those not connected to religion are blessed. Everyone wants to be free from feeling small. So whether people ask for small ends or big ends, they are all on my track, whether they know it or not. So even an atheist may not know, but he is also on the same path. Everyone wants to be free from feeling small, which is why they are seekers. Everyone is a seeker of this freedom. So although we do not know what really fullness is, but we definitely know what smallness is, and we want to be free from this smallness. And instead of seeking that purnatva, when you seek something different from that, something smaller than that, it is like marrying a person's nail or a toe instead of marrying the whole person. Everyone wants to be full, to be happy, even those who drink. If drinking did not give a person some happiness, some sukha, no one would do it. So they spend their time seeking some small thing that is of me, like wanting to marry someone, but ending up marrying his little finger or a piece of hair. Bhagavan says they are on my track alone, but they do not seek me because they do not know they are on my track. If they knew, then the small things would not hold them up along the way. The spiritual path need not be arduous. While traveling to a particular destination, people may enjoy a few things along the way, but they do not lose sight of their destination. Self knowledge need be no different. The beauty of its pursuit is that not only is the ultimate destination beautiful, but the means to it is also beautiful. It is like driving through the Rockies or going on a pilgrimage in the Himalayas. There are four centers of pilgrimage in the Himalayas: Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri, where a lot of devotees go. This being one of the things to be done in a Hindu's life. Badrinath, to take but one, is situated in a valley of great beauty, and the way to Badrinath is also beautiful. It is often said that the spiritual path is extremely arduous, but if you really understand what spiritual is, you will find there is nothing arduous about it. What is arduous about constantly hearing that you are fullness, Ananda? The spiritual path has also been likened to a razor's edge. Stop not, be very cautious. One wrong step and the fall is great. The higher you go, the farther you fall. If you go to the pinnacle and lose your footing, not even a single bone will remain there to be picked up, it seems. Then, how can the last rites be done for you? But such talk is all based on an assumption that there is something to be achieved. In fact, there is only something to be understood. If the goal is ananda, fullness, happiness, how can the way to the goal be unpleasant? To the extent that you understand, the way is ananda. I repeat this one. To the extent that you understand. See, if you keep thinking there is something to be achieved, then it becomes difficult, it becomes arduous. But to the extent that we understand, the path becomes ananda. The way is ananda. The path is ananda, and both sides are ananda. There is never a dull moment, just as when you go on a pilgrimage to a mountain. I think that is why they say the statement, um, life is a game, play it. It is not a struggle. Life is not a struggle. Every moment is joyful and celebrative. There is never a dull moment, just as when you go on a pilgrimage to a mountain. As you proceed along the steep paths, every one of their many turns opens up a new vista, a new valley, a new scene. At one moment, the Ganges will be traveling alongside of you, and at another, she will have left you far behind. Further along, you will again find her right beside you. Sometimes she's down below, sometimes she's playing, sometimes she's roaring. The mountains themselves present new vistas, sometimes bald, sometimes green, sometimes wearing snowy white caps. So as long as we understand, and to the extent that we understand, the whole path itself is Ananda. So the more and more we are in our witness consciousness, and we don't get entangled in the in the world, then the whole journey is beautiful. It might be some like it's described here. There may be times when it's completely bald, it's dull and dreary. Despite that, sometimes it's full of lush greenery. And sometimes you find the river flowing beside you. So never mind the scene as long as you are connected with the seer. The whole path becomes enjoyable. Similarly, the path to self knowledge is not an arduous one. The path itself is pleasant, and the end is pleasantness itself. Not, as one often hears, can the path be described as difficult in the beginning and pleasant later on, or pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. It is sometimes said that the spiritual path is bitter in the beginning and pleasure later on, while the material path is pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. But is this really the case? Is not the material path always a problem in the beginning, later, and in between? So, this is in a little variance with what we call sattvic happiness and rajasic happiness. So, I think in the same, later on, Bhagavan, maybe in the Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga or Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, he talks of um, how sattvic happiness is initially difficult, but later on, the result is like Amrita. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam. Tat sukham satvikam manye. So he himself says that. But then this is another perspective, looking at it from the angle of the path itself. So the path itself is pleasant, and the end is pleasantness itself. But what is difficult? It is disciplining the mind, preparing the mind. That is difficult, right? That is what I think Bhagwan meant when he said, Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amritopama. That is why Bhagwan Swamiji is also mentioned here. It is sometimes said that the spiritual path is bitter in the beginning and pleasant later on, while the material path is pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. But is this really the case? Is not the material path always a problem in the beginning, later, and in between? We'll see as we go further. All matter is Bhagavan alone. The material path does enable me to pick up some joy along the way. But that is only because Bhagavan is everywhere. He is not just in one place. In fact, upon analysis, we find that there is no such thing as material. All matter, all material is nothing but Bhagavan. There is nothing separate from Bhagavan. How then can we say this is material and this is Bhagavan? I'll repeat this one. The material path does enable me to pick up some joy along the way. But that is only because Bhagavan is everywhere. He is not just in one place. In fact, upon analysis, we find that there is no such thing as material. All matter, all material is nothing but Bhagavan. There is nothing separate from Bhagavan. How then can we say this is material and this is Bhagavan? So naturally that question will arise. If you say everything there is Bhagwan, then how do you categorize one as material and the other as Bhagwan? How do you categorize it as Vyavaharika and Paramarthika? All these divisions are made by our buddhi, which is a dividing buddhi, a dualistic buddhi. Wherever it goes, the buddhi creates division, spiritual and temporal, profound and profane. Because it is basically a dualistic buddhi, it continuously attempts to create dualism. In fact, this divisive buddhi is the very nature of the jiva. So I'll repeat this para again. All these divisions are made by our buddhi, which is a dividing buddhi, a dualistic buddhi. Wherever it goes, the buddhi creates division, spiritual and temporal, profound and profane. Because it is basically a dualistic buddhi, it continuously attempts to create dualism. In fact, this divisive buddhi is the very nature of the jiva. We'll just ruminate on this. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Okay. Anyone wants to share can share. So these divisions are made by our buddhi. Thus, Krishna says, whether the people know it or not, whenever they pick up a moment of joy, it is me alone. The only problem is that they rest content scraping some small joys out of him, when in fact, he is the joy that is their very own nature. Not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that has somehow escaped from out of themselves. This, Krishna says, is a tragedy. The tragedy is not that Ishvara denies the people anything, but because they do not see their identity with him. Still, Krishna says, they are on my track. There is nothing to worry about. They will come to me eventually because until they become full, they will not stop seeking. No one is going to settle for anything less than fullness. No one is away from me. In the next verse, Krishna explains that the reason people do not come to him is because of their fascination with quick results. I'm going to read this paragraph again. So, all matter is Bhagwan alone. The previous previous para was about the spiritual path is not an arduous one, is not a difficult path, but some people paint it as a difficult one. They say Kshurasya Dhara. In fact, Swami Vivekananda has said that, or maybe it's a verse from one of the Upanishads. Kshurasya Dhara Nihita Duratyaya. It is like a razor sharp edge. So the higher you go, the greater you'll fall. From one angle, yes, that is right. From the angle of preparing the mind.
Vijay Gurudev, I didn't understand the razor sharp. What happens actually? Fall means.
It is the middle path, no? So a little tilt to this side or that side. It is like you're walking on a razor sharp path.
Oh, you
This
mean
path
to
of
you mean to say you'll
spirituality.
fall, you'll be back into material again, you'll fall into the trap of
Right, right.
trying. Oh, okay,
Mm.
okay. Okay.
Let me pick up that verse. Shurasya dhara nihita duratyaya. Shurasya dhara. 1 second.
Good morning, Dr. Brahmaras. I'm
Good
in
morning.
India. I'm in India. My times are like really off, like,
Ah,
yeah. So I kind of missing the Gita classes a lot. It's been a week already.
very
So,
good. So are you in which part of
Chennai,
India?
Chennai,
Chennai.
Chennai.
So are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
planning to go to the ashram in May in the
Not in May. So, one of my, my relative, my sister-in-law said they have same class in near my place, Tirupur, they have in June. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking to attend that one, the advanced, it's also advanced meditation program.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking to go to that one, because ashram, I do really want to go, but then the person who wants to come with me, she hasn't done any of the classes, the happiness or any of that.
Yeah, but she can go and do. There is always a weekend happiness. We will talk outside of this class.
Right,
We
right.
will
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about this. Yeah, we'll talk
Sure,
about it.
sure.
Not,
Okay.
I'm happy you're
Yeah.
there. Don't
Yeah.
miss the opportunity. Okay, I'll talk to you.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
yeah, nice.
So on 10th,
Enjoy your stay in India.
on 10th, the great event is happening in the ashram. Modi ji is coming for inauguration and all that. Wow, it's going to be.
Yeah. So this verse, I was able to pick up this verse. It is Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varanni Bodhata Kshurasya Dhara Nihita Duratyaya Durgam Patha Pathastat Kavayo Vadanti. This is a verse that Swami Vivekananda quoted very, very often. Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. Like the sharp edge of a razor is that path, so the wise say, hard to tread and difficult to cross. So why is it called razor sharp edge? It's because even a minor slip in awareness can derail a seeker. We've learned, no? It is a life lived with awareness, discrimination.
Jai Gurudev, even in Bhakta Meera's bhajan, there is one in our Gujarati language. Harino marg chhe shurano nahi kayar no kaam re. That this
What
is
is
the path of a courageous person. Cowards are not welcomed here.
Yeah, it is. This is from Katopanishad, by the way. This Kshurasya. It is actually Uttishtata, Jagrata. I mean, this verse itself contains so much of an inspiration. It's arise and awake. Prapya Varanni Bodhata. Kshurasya Dhara Nihita Duratyaya. Durgam Pathastat Kavayo Vadanti. This is often quoted by Swami Vivekananda to inspire action, perseverance, and spiritual awakening.
But Brahma, can you put that in the group?
I will put this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll put this in the group. This actually I've taken from the internet, but never mind. It is. I'm just putting it now. So,
it'd be nice just to see, then we can find it from the book itself.
Yeah.
You also mentioned the Chinmayananda's why we do things like, we haven't done that yet, right? Right.
which one?
You said we will review sometime that why do we do things like, remember why we came up with the questions, why do you do these rituals and pujas or things like that?
Right. No, there is Swami Vimalananda's book on why do we. It's a beautiful small booklet.
Okay.
I've not really got my hands on that, but thank you for reminding. Once I'm able to pick that up, I will go through that once.
Okay. Tomorrow I may go to the bookstore, so I'll find it.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So see, it is how we look at it, right? So from different angles, if you look at it, from one angle, the spiritual path seems like a razor sharp edge. It is difficult. Why? Because you have to keep that awareness, moment to moment, living in the moment. That is important. And that itself, to bring your mind to being in the present, that is the difficult part. Whereas the path itself, if you let go and if you understand, it becomes very beautiful. It's a matter of understanding. It's not a matter of achieving something. When you have to achieve something, you have to put in effort. That is why Gurudev very beautifully puts it up. He says, meditation is effortless. Whereas anything with respect to the body, you have to put up effort. But here, this is the path of letting go. So letting go should be very simple to do. It is not difficult at all. But the problem is we hold on to things. With our wrong understanding, we are on Bhagwan's path. Whatever we do, whether we are, seeking small ends or the actual end, we are on Bhagwan's path. And Bhagwan is in every aspect of creation. So the little joys that we get, we are satisfied with that. But then, because desire is insatiable, one more desire crops up, another desire crops up. So we are endlessly seeking Bhagwan, so to say, seeking joy in the outside. Just like how that Mullah Nazruddin was searching for the lost keys or the lost needle out in the street light when he's actually lost it at home. So rather than searching in the right place, we are searching in the wrong place. So the question here is, it is sometimes said that the spiritual path is bitter in the beginning and pleasant later on, while the material path is pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. But is this really the case? Is it not the material path always a problem in the beginning, later, and in between? All matter is Bhagwan alone. The material path does enable me to pick up some joy along the way. But that is only because Bhagwan is everywhere. He is not just in one place. In fact, upon analysis, we find that there is no such thing as material. All matter, all material is nothing but Bhagwan. There is nothing separate from Bhagwan. How then can we say this is material and this is Bhagwan? So why are we seeing duality? That division comes from our buddhi. Again, this is because of the Maya Mimsa. It is that illusion that creates the division, that when there is no division at all. So all these divisions are made by our buddhi. Now the natural question will be, why is this Maya alone? Why is it? Why have Maya? Why not just have Ishvara? And then there is no creation. That is something to wonder about. So that's really a question of wonder. But we know we are, you see me as different from you. We feel that smallness. So that is real. That is our experience. So what Vedanta is asking us, goading us to realize and understand is that, hey, listen, Tattvamasi, you are that. All this is only because of avidya. So pursue knowledge through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and realize that you are that. So all these divisions are made by our buddhi, which is a dividing buddhi, a dualistic buddhi. Wherever it goes, the buddhi creates division. Spiritual and temporal, profound and profane. Because it is basically a dualistic buddhi, It continuously attempts to create dualism. In fact, this divisive buddhi is the very nature of the jiva. Nature of the jiva with the upadhi of avidya, right? Because of that avidya, we are able to see this duality. The avidya that is covering up the true nature of the jiva. See, but in deep sleep, there is no, you don't see dualism. You only experience that deep sleep. But what is the difference between an enlightened state and deep sleep? Deep sleep is time bound, whereas a state of enlightenment is eternal. It is like being in deep sleep forever. Because even that even in deep sleep, there is that little awareness that is there. In that karana sharira abhimani, prajna iti uchyate. So that prajna is there. That is why you're able to get up and say, oh, I had a deep sleep.
So the enlightenment is like a deep sleep forever, right?
Forever, no? Where you're forever awake in that deep sleep, so to say. I mean, I'm not sure whether we are just juggling with words, but then it is that prolonged, it is that eternal state where there's no division. Buddhi is no longer there in that state. It is only that witness, it is only that pure awareness. That is why only a jnani will understand what a jnani state is. We should not even be calling it a state, because a state will imply that it will change from one state to the other, like liquid water turning into ice and water vapor. It is just being. Just being. With no other attachments, no tags given. There's no dualism. There is only Advaita. Thus, Krishna says, whether the people know it or not, whenever they pick up a moment of joy, it is me alone. That is why he says, Mama Vartma, they are on my path. Whether you seek a little pleasure like you want to eat a gulab jamun, or you want to buy a new mobile, or you want to go to a new destination, all that the joy that comes out of that is nothing but Bhagavan. It's a small part. It is like the nail or the hair or the, toe of Bhagavan, so to say. The only problem is that they rest content, scraping some small joys out of him, when in fact, he is the joy that is their very own nature. In fact, yesterday I was going through one of the knowledge reels that Gurudev was talking of. He says, why are you pursuing worthless things? We end up pursuing, most of us, or most of the people out there, are even we included. If you look at your whole day, how many things that we are doing is like pursuing, it's like scraping the surface. Small things. We just get caught up. And caught up where? In our ragas and dveshas. That is the only problem. The only problem is that they rest content, scraping some small joys out of him, when in fact, he is the joy that is their very own nature. We can have, without having ragas, without having a desire, no action is possible. But we should be mindful that they are non-binding ragas, not binding ragas. So then you can live life which is celebrative. Not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that has somehow escaped from out of themselves. I mean, here every word is significant. See, not knowing themselves as Ishvara, first of all, that's the fundamental error. That we do not realize that we are secure, that we are joy, we are happiness. So, not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that has somehow escaped from out of themselves. And how does this happen? How does the small crumb that has somehow escaped from themselves? It is again the work of Maya, that illusion. This, Krishna says, is a tragedy. The tragedy is not that Ishvara denies the people anything, but because they do not see their connect with him. They do not see, what is that? They do not see their identity with him. So what are we identifying with? We're identifying with the rest of the 7 levels of existence. We're identifying with the first 6. We're leaving the 7. It's gone with the wind. But we identify with the remaining 6. And that is the tragedy. Still, Krishna says they are on my track. Why? Because all these 6 also are nothing but Bhagwan. With the upadhi of Maya, with the upadhi of avidya. There is nothing to worry about.
When he says he's not identifying with him, meaning we are still seeing the dual.
Correct.
He's separate from us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when you're identifying with him is like we have to say we are one.
Yes.
Okay.
See, if you remember, there is this sattvic buddhi, rajasic buddhi, and tamasic buddhi. I think all this again comes later in the Bhagavad Gita. We did one round of Bhagavad Gita, right? So in that, the sattvic buddhi looks at the oneness. Rajasic buddhi looks at the difference, distinctions between one and the other. And tamasic buddhi, I think, is so gross that it cannot even make out.
They understand that.
It cannot even, take out the joy from that. It can take the joy from this. So that is so completely inert, the tamasic buddhi. Whereas sattvic buddhi sees the oneness.
Right.
So here, Krishna is saying they will eventually come to. So the tragedy is what? They, not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that has somehow escaped from out of themselves. How sad this is. So every time we are caught up in our cravings, it is like this. You are huge and big and the only one.
So when he mentioning about small crumb, meaning like we are all this material stuff that we pursue and looking for happiness in that, right? So so not really looking for that happiness in joy with Ishvara.
Right.
Okay.
The joy that we are.
Yeah.
The joy
very
that we
profound
are.
paragraph. Yeah. That's nice. That really. Joys out of it.
So the tragedy is not that Ishvara denies the people anything.
Yeah.
See, that is why in the beginning of this verse it was said, I do not give anyone joys or sorrows. I do not wield, the book of judgment and say, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is what you did. And I don't give people um, their problems. I don't do anything, Krishna says. Why don't people, if Bhavaha, I think the previous verse was, many people have come to realize this. So, what about the others? Krishna says, I do not prevent anybody from reaching me. It is their own making. It is that they do not see their identity with him. I am never separate from anyone. They see me as separate. So still Krishna says they are on my track. There is nothing to worry about. They will come to me eventually, because until they become full, they will not stop seeking. No one is going to settle for anything less than fullness. No one is away from me. In the next verse, Krishna explains that the reason people do not come to him is because of their fascination with quick results. So any sharing, any manana on this before we go further? It's an important shloka. Ye yatha mam trapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. We're all on Bhagwan's path, whether we know it or not. But we are in different rungs. Whether we're caught up in materialism or we're pursuing spirituality, we're all on his path. Sooner or later, everyone eventually will reach the destination. But this destination is unlike other destinations. It is not something that you have to achieve. It is you that you are that. We just have to understand it. And that is why it is not an arduous one. Arduosity, the difficulty is in preparing the mind to understand this. That understanding itself is not difficult. We are not able to understand because the mind is so gross, is so cluttered with identifying with all the rest of the 6 levels. So with practice and discipline, abhyasa and vairagya, we train the mind with the life of karma yoga, that purushartha, using your discernment, using your discrimination, choosing the right thing, living a life of awareness. That to an untrained mind becomes the difficulty. Yattadagre vishamiva. It appears as though it is poised, it is difficult. But once you put your mind to it, it is not difficult, right? The difficulty is in disciplining the mind. Anyone else wants to share, or should we move on to the next verse?
Jai Gurudev, when we are in satsang or when we are after our kriya in meditation and when we are with the world, until we feel that peace even when we are in the world, I think we have to sharpen our intellect, that Bheda. And as Gurudev had rightly given that example of camel chewing the thorn and enjoying the taste of his own blood, and he thinks that the joy is in that, what he is eating. but he doesn't realize that the joy is, he himself is the joy. So that's why we feel once we are out of the satsang hall and when we are back to the home, we still get that difference, right? In the state of mind, the peace of mind, that peace what we experience when we are in ashram or when we are in satsang or when we are in sadhana, the same peace has to be maintained throughout the day or life. I will not say for a day. It should remain nirantara, nitya, that prasanna chitta. So that should be our aim till we achieve that prasanna chitta, whichever condition is there, whatever comes. And that comes when that samipyam, sayujyam, when you feel that some oneness with everything around you, every person around you. We don't feel that duality when we are in satsang or when we are in ashram. We take the thing so well and everything is so easygoing, isn't it? All of us have experienced when we are in ashram or when we are in satsang. So that state, if it remains throughout the day or throughout the, then there will be no challenges, I believe. That is my personal.
Jai Gurudev, for that you have to be constantly in witness consciousness, just totally relax, sit and watch all the fun, whatever is happening in this material world. It's like a movie, everything is happening here. You should not get involved.
Yeah, true. Being in a witness state of consciousness, but at the same time, continuing to do what is to be done. So
Yeah.
one can be, you can be in a passive state of witness consciousness. Okay, fine, I'm not the doer, so why do anything at all? But Krishna cautions, he says, don't be attached to inaction.
Yeah.
Do, stand up, do
Yes.
what you have to do.
Yeah, you
While,
don't need to be attached to anything, but at the same time, do your karma
yeah,
and not expect the result of, I mean, whatever the result of action, you be like, take it as
be in
present, right?
acceptance. Yeah,
Yeah,
be in
accepting.
agree. You agree. Yeah.
Mm. Equal unless, like, we don't want to hurt out by when it's good or
Mm,
elated, and when it's bad, it's not depressed and things like that. So that kind of mentality, had to come. And like you always say, right? Like the problems are not bigger than you. So
mm,
anything that comes at you, us, like we should be able to handle it in that sense. So
mm.
that way our peace of mind is always there, and then you are in that state of calmness and peace, joy and whatnot.
Yeah. And what Gurudev says, have the faith that the best is happening to you and the best will happen to you. So when we
To
move along with this attitude in our mind,
mm,
then whether you're getting a challenging situation or you're getting a joyful situation, you are relaxed about it. You're not worried about it because you're going with that shraddha, the faith that yes, this is what I'm due. I'm getting this now. So you're in acceptance of whatever is happening to you. And basically, it is living in the present moment. When your mind is either in the past or future, there is only misery. So connecting with that self, identifying with that self, with Ishvara, is living in the moment, living a life of awareness. Because all mistakes happen only in a state of unawareness and unconscious mind. But if the mind is conscious, not only is it joyful, it would not make a mistake. Now we'll stop here today. We have another 4 minutes. I'll read the next verse. So, in the next verse, Krishna explains that the reason people do not come to him is because of their fascination with quick results. काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. So, karmanam of actions, siddhim, the result, kangshantaha, desiring, iha, here in this world, devataha, gods, yajante, they worship, he, because, manushe loke, in the human world, karmaja, born of action, siddhihi, result, kshipram, quickly, bhavati, comes. So, karmanam siddhim kangshantaha iha devataha yajante. He manushe loke karmaja siddhihi kshipram bhavati. Desiring the results of actions here in this world, they worship the gods. For in the human world, result born of action comes very quickly. So, desiring the results of action here in this world, they worship the gods. For in the human world, result born of action comes very quickly. Krishna had said earlier that many people had come to him, meaning that they had discovered their identity with him. But why do not all people come to him? Does he prefer only some people and leave the others out? Does the Lord have such ragas and dveshas? If he does, then he is no different than anyone else. But that is not true. We saw that he does not see any separation. It is that we see the separation. Our buddhi sees the separation. So, how do you invoke the Lord is your choice. Krishna responds to this question by saying that he denies nothing to anyone. If, as a jiva, a person chooses to have only so much within Ishvara's creation, only that much he or she will get. Even his greatest devotees are blessed by him in the form in which they invoke him, the Lord being impartial in every way. Again, as you sow, so shall you reap. What is your intention? What is your desire? Is it a limited one or is it a desire for the highest? So that is what depends upon. This means that the form in which you invoke the Lord becomes the Lord for you. If you invoke the Lord as a deity, Indra, for example, then the Lord is Indra. If you invoke him as the giver of a particular result of action, then he becomes that Devata, that deity. He can even be invoked as Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, or any planet, which is done in relation to a person's horoscope. Particular planets in particular locations have been found to indicate certain problems or situations for the person. Here, Ishvara is invoked as the planet itself, the Prarabdha Karma Adhisthana Devata, the presiding deity of the Prarabdha Karma. All such invocations are possible only because the Lord is available in whatever purpose he is invoked, the purpose being served by the invocation itself. So we'll stop here. It's a very beautiful understanding that in whatever way you invoke the Lord presents himself that way or gives you results in that manner. Gurudev.
For example, biceps, if you focus on biceps,
Correct. Correct. That is true. Yeah. So we'll stop here. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.